Today, I have a really exciting announcement to make. This represents the next iteration and evolution in the telehealth hair care space. My name is Rob English. I am a researcher who specializes in hair loss. I'm on the editorial board of a dermatology journal. And for the last 10 years, I've run the website perfecthairhealth.com, which is an educational and consumer advocacy resource for everybody who is fighting hair loss, feeling overwhelmed, and just looking for straightforward answers on what works, what doesn't, and how to best prioritize your time, money, and hair. And today I have a really exciting announcement to make. I am thrilled to say that we are finally launching our own telehealth hair care brand called Ulo. That's ULO.co. Ulo, in my eyes, represents the next iteration and evolution in the telehealth hair care space. It focuses on personalization, it focuses on innovation, but most importantly, it focuses and prioritizes consumer safety. Because as we go through this video, you'll soon see that it's not just about what's inside of our prescription and over-the-counter products that's so important. It's also what's left out. And most importantly, what other telehealth hair care brands are doing that we're not, the corners that we see them cutting that we won't. Now, I'll get to Ulo's core offerings in just a moment, because of course we have FDA-approved medications, we have once daily combos, a best-in-class hair care line, and a level of personalization and support that is simply beyond anything else on the market. And we've partnered with some of the biggest names in hair loss to make this happen. But if you've followed this channel or our site for a while, you probably know that for 10 years, I have never once advertised, endorsed, or taken a single affiliate commission for any hair loss physical product. We're talking pills, topicals, supplements, shampoos, conditioners, devices, you name it. In fact, our site has only ever offered one-on-one support and education. And we've seen firsthand how impactful this approach has been. I mean, just look at the dozens and dozens and dozens of before and after transformations submitted by members of our site. I mean, in the hair loss ecosphere, our site is incredibly small. Best-selling hair care brands, they have millions of customers. Yet we have far less than 1% of that. But we over-index on high-quality before and after transformations by orders of magnitude compared to them. So either what these brands are selling doesn't work very well, or what we're doing works a whole lot better. So I see this as a testament to our approach, which might lead you to ask, well, if the education-first model works so well, why start a telehealth business in the first place? Well, the answer to that is really twofold. First, our recommendations have remained wildly consistent for the last 5 years. So at this stage of the evolution and evidence, we're very confident in knowing what works, why it works, and exactly how those products need to be formulated. But the other reason is the disconnect between that knowledge and what consumers are actually offered in the marketplace. I mean, Ulo is a much needed change in this space. Its products, in my eyes, are best in class. And it's not just about what's inside of them, but most importantly, what's not inside of them. So let me start by just talking a little bit about what's not inside of our topical products, what we don't do. Other brands in the hair care space use propylene glycol as a carrier ingredient to carry their active ingredients in their topicals deeper into the scalp skin. Now, this is great because propylene glycol, it dries well, it applies easily, and it helps these ingredients absorb. However, it comes at the cost of skin irritation, often in up to 7% of people who try that product. Now, rather than go through the hurdles of R&D to develop better formulated topicals, telehealth brands currently have a different solution, one that doesn't involve removing propylene glycol, but instead offsetting its irritation with corticosteroids. We're talking about things like fluocinolone and hydrocortisone. Corticosteroids are great in the short term at lowering inflammation, and in the long term, they come with the risk of permanent skin thinning. In fact, at the doses that these telehealth brands are prescribing corticosteroids, twice daily use for a lifetime, we've actually never seen any evidence determining that those doses are actually safe. But we do know that at doses far lower than that, skin thinning is pretty prominent in a significant portion of individuals. So these brands, rather than prioritize your actual safety, instead just include the propylene glycol, don't bother doing the R&D to formulate better products, and then offset that inflammation with ingredients that, according to long-term data, come with the significant risk of skin thinning. At Ulo, we spent a significant amount of time formulating products that dry easily, absorb well, apply with ease, and most importantly, don't contain propylene glycol, and they don't contain corticosteroids in their baseline formulations. And this is, once again, because we actually care about your outcomes and your safety long term. Now that you know a little bit about what we don't do, I'll tell you more about what we do differently. I'll start with our prescription offerings, which I'm only telling you about here. If you're in the US and you'd like to see if you're eligible for any prescriptions, you can click the links below to get started with an ULO partner physician, take an assessment, and see if you're eligible. But the first thing that we do that nobody else is doing is offer low-dose topical finasteride. If you've watched any of our prior videos on topical finasteride, you know that current telehealth brands are selling topical finasteride at doses so high that the drug goes systemic and it ends up lowering blood DHT levels by as much as you were to take the oral formulation. In many circumstances, this might undermine the very reason why you're seeking to use topicals in the first place, which is to minimize systemic exposure of the same drugs. At ULO, we've developed low-dose topical finasteride formulations, 0.005% at 2 milliliters daily. In fact, this is the only clinically studied dose of topical finasteride that can improve hair parameters without impacting serum DHT levels, which is our best proxy for systemic absorption. We've even included a precision milliliter dropper, so you will know exactly how much you're applying each time, and it makes the process so much easier. For years, we've built topical finasteride calculators to help people make these formulations at home. And that works to an extent, but it also comes with its own dosing and stability concerns. Now, all of those problems are solved. People can actually explore a topical that's dosed properly to capture the benefits of finasteride while potentially minimizing its effects beyond the scalp. And we've even taken this a step further. We've actually lab tested our own products to prove that they can meet their labeling claims. If you've ever been a member of Perfect Hair Health, or if you've ever been to our site before, you know that consumer lab testing for products is one of the pillars that our community stands for. We've spent over $30,000 testing other people's products through third-party laboratories, and shockingly, 60% or more of those products have not been able to meet their labeling claims. When we launched ULO, we wanted this to never be a problem with us, which is why we cycled through multiple compounding pharmacies until finding one that could meet its labeling claims reliably and consistently. Check out the certificates of analysis and check out the products that are offered. This is something that no other telehealth brands are doing. Next up are our non-hormonal prescription topicals. People who can't use finasteride often feel like they're doomed in the fight against hair loss. This is not true. For people who cannot tolerate finasteride or dutasteride, there are non-hormonal treatments that show that people can regrow hair and stay above baseline for at least 5 years. We've taken these ingredients, the studies supporting them, and we've developed a prescription strength topical that can help people fight androgenic alopecia, all without significantly lowering DHT. It includes clinically studied ingredients like high-strength minoxidil paired with retinoic acid for absorption and penetration, alongside cetirizine, caffeine, and melatonin. These ingredients, they might act synergistically to target your hair loss from multiple angles. And now, people who cannot use finasteride no longer need to feel like they don't stand a fighting chance. We also spent 6 months formulating a daily use shampoo and conditioner. One of the most common questions people ask me is, what's the best shampoo for hair growth? And my most common answer is, unless you have dandruff associated with telogen effluvium or androgenic alopecia, shampoos, conditioners, they're not going to do very much for your hair at all. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be using a shampoo that is well formulated. While these kinds of products, they offer very little for hair regrowth, consumers, they still desire a combination of shampoos and conditioners that can be used every day, that's non-irritating, that smells great, and that leaves the hair feeling fuller bodied and refreshed. We spent the better part of a year ideating, iterating, and developing a shampoo and conditioner combination that achieves exactly this. It lathers well, it leaves the hair smelling great with a crisp, clean peppermint scent, and when the hair dries, it feels and looks fuller than before. Our beta testers have absolutely loved these, and we ship the shampoos and conditioners worldwide. And along those lines of worldwide products, we also offer a natural topical and supplement line. When it comes to hair regrowth, natural products do do not pack the same punch as prescription products. But it's also the case that so many best-selling natural hair care brands, they sell topicals and supplements with ingredients at dosages that are just completely unsupported by the clinical literature. That's why we spent the better part of a year, once again, researching, formulating, and developing a natural hair growth topical and supplement product line that not only includes these best supported clinical ingredients, but also at the proper doses. So inside of our topical, you'll see the right dosing structures for things like Redensil, Capixyl, Procapil, Saw Palmetto, L-carnitine, adenosine, melatonin. And inside of our supplement, you'll find similar ingredients dosed accordingly. Now, consumers can really have that confidence that when they're buying our natural product line, these products are at doses supported in the clinical literature, thereby hopefully putting them in the best possible positions for success. And lastly, we of course offer high-strength prescription topicals. For those looking to maximize their hair gains from prescription topicals, we also offer high-strength formulations of both topical finasteride and topical dutasteride. These are available widely through many other telehealth brands. But we spent the time, once again, to find ways to effectively formulate them without propylene glycol and without corticosteroids. And with base formulas that apply easily, they dry well, and they leave the hair looking and feeling healthier. Now, our formulations also come with optional add-ons. Things like minoxidil, retinoic acid, cetirizine, caffeine, melatonin, all pending your assessment from a doctor. And these additional ingredients, they possibly offer added upside, again, for those looking for the best possible results, but alongside better safety than what's been offered to them by other brands. With the arrival of Ulo, we intend to continue putting consumers' needs first, only this time by changing the landscape of telehealth hair care forever. Perfect Hair Health will continue as it always has, a center for consumer advocacy and a center for education. It's also your direct avenue to work personally with me and other researchers as guides on your hair growth journey. I see Ulo as an extension of what's always been our core mission, one where we no longer have to send consumers through hoops just to get them a well-formulated product. But now we have a place where they can finally access the things that they've always needed and should have always had access to, had the landscape of hair care companies truly cared about their needs, preferences, and the evidence. If you want to check out Ulo and both our over-the-counter and prescription product lines, check out the links below. Begin your assessment with one of our partner physicians. I look forward to your journey, and I look forward to supporting you the best that I can. I wish you the best with all things health and hair. Thank you for watching. I will see you in our next video.